Welcome to Sex in the Temple. In today's episode, we'll be looking at sexual abuse. It is very prevalent in our society today. Both men and women have suffered or experienced one form of abuse or another. With me to discuss this important but also sensitive topic is Mrs. Counsellor Perfect Oduro, the founder of Perfect Counseling Network. Mrs. Oduro, you are welcome.
Thank you. Beautiful. You are looking splendid.
Thank you. You too. You look really amazing.
Thank you.
All right. Counselor, as a counselor, I believe that this is not a strange topic to you. Could you please help us understand what sexual abuse is?
Thank you. And we thank our listeners for always tuning in and watching us, sharing and liking and leaving your comments. We are so grateful. When we talk about sexual abuse, we are talking about sexual acts or sexual behavior that you force on someone. It could be either a man, a woman, or a child without their consent. So it's a sexual behavior or a sexual act. We say that because sexual behavior can be harassment. You touching them, even commenting them how their butt is looking, their breast is looking sexually. You understand? That is the sexual behavior. Even how you maybe look at them, you undress them with your eyes and all that. Then the act itself, that is the intercourse, forcing it on them without their consent. So if they don't agree to it, it is sexual abuse.
All right. So it does not only look at the act itself.
Yeah.
It covers the behavior.
Yes.
Does that include catcalling when men see and say, hey, does that include that as well as part of sexual behavior?
Yeah, so it's what he says and how he acts, like making you like a sex object. Yes, beautiful. You have look at your ass, big ass, those things. You are giving you those comments. You understand, making you uncomfortable about yourself. That is sexual harassment. So you have not had that contact with a person, but the behavior that you are putting up connotes that you will do it or you can do it.
So you're just looking for time and opportunity,
Yes.
and if the person avails themselves,
Yeah.
you can act on it,
Yeah.
on the behavior.
Yeah.
Wow. So when we walk along the street and people look at us and say, hey, sexy, beautiful lady, you don't know them, does it connote a bit of that behavior?
That is flattering. So it's kind of not really, but it depends on the intensity. If the person says that and goes ahead to maybe smash your buttocks, you know that is off. You know, certain behavior, when you do that, is without my consent. So when you press or tie the person's breast, you tie the person's private parts, or you try to rub your private parts on the person's backside in public, or you try to squeeze, you want to get into public transport, and you try to squeeze yourself, you are rubbing yourself against the person's butt and all that. It's sexual behavior. It's without my consent, you are forcing it on me. It's sexual abuse.
So when we sit on the trottoir, especially in the front seat, maybe a lady sits here and then the man come and sit here. You know, ladies always try to just move a little bit. And then you have this man still stretching their leg. And you keep moving. And you keep moving. And they're still stretching their leg, trying to touch you. Could that be a form, a mild form, or they just care less about how you feel?
It depends. Some people are unconsciously doing that. But if the person is consciously doing that, you want the person is still doing it. They want to get close to you. They're trying to sleep and as if they are putting their head on your breast and all that. You try to push the head. They do that and all that. It's a sexual act.
Wow.
So mostly the reason the sexual act is important is, you see, it connotes a lot of things. And if you don't take care of the behavior, it's going to lead into the acts, and especially children and all that. Some will not go straight to have the intercourse with the person, but they'll do other things that will make or molest the child, that like indecent exposure is part of it. So you don't have to expose yourself. You being the parents, or you being an outsider or caretaker, you need not to expose your nakedness before the child, even not to adults. So we grown-ups, if I visit you in your house and you just come with your nakedness and it's sexual abuse. You understand? Indecent exposure. You have not asked it. So the ladies parading themselves in the streets, half naked and all that, they are abusing the men. So half naked, showing off your boobs and all your assets, you are abusing the men.
They have not asked for it.
Yes,
and
you are
you're feeding it to them.
Yeah.
Unsolicited.
Yes.
So does that mean that parents who have this habit of birthing, taking a shower with their children, maybe 2 years or 3 years old, and they are stripping themselves naked in front of their child, it can be a boy or girl, they can talk, they can see, but they will not say it. Does it mean that they are teaching them a behavior that is inappropriate?
Very. It's all forms of sexual abuse. And you see, if you go naked before your child, you are bathing naked and your child is there, female and male and all others, people are having deviant sexual behaviors because of that. Yes, some people get attracted to older people because of what they were exposed to when they were young.
Wow.
And the more you do that, imagine you, an old man, an adult man, you the father, showing your girl child all that. So when he goes out and somebody shows her that she doesn't know the difference between this appropriate behavior, this is not an appropriate behavior, because he has been seeing daddy's bolo bolo. You understand? One child said, my daddy's bolo bolo is like Samson. So I was like, wow. So whenever I see the man, I was like, Samson. You see, if you meet the adult, I just laugh it off like Samson. Yes. So meaning he has seen the difference between his and that of his father.
His father. Now
so if Samson was a strong man, then daddy is having Samson's bolo bolo. You understand?
Yeah.
So he's having that picture. So a child growing up with that, without the right sex education, is going to leave a lot of bad adverse mind with him. So they grow up and having a lot of deviant sexual behaviors, experimenting with sex early age because of what they were exposed to. And we have the culture that we don't even tell them what they are seeing, what it is, and knowing that yes is small, and when you grow up, this is what it's going to be. So they don't even understand what they are seeing.
Imagine that. You know, whilst you're talking, something just dropped in my mind. What about those who live in maybe a one-bedroom, they have their children, and they think their children are sleeping and they may be engaged in a sexual behavior, and the children are like, and they don't know what's going on, but they're curious, and they might try to stay awake to see exactly. Is that also sexual abuse?
Yes, it's sexual abusive behavior. So you are not having contact with the person, you're having sex with the person, but your behavior is abusing the other person. Okay. So you see, mostly the truth is, if you do that, the children know that this is what you are doing. Sometimes one other child said that when the father and mother want to do something, they just throw something on them, then the mother responds like they can do it, or they'll off the light and come and see if they are all sleeping. But in actual fact, they are not sleeping. So they just want you to study. They can open just one eye and peep and see what you are doing. So it's best if you live in such apartments, know when to have sex. Maybe when they go to school, you can schedule, because your condition is not suitable for you to have sex whilst your child is there. Even how do you enjoy yourself? You can't even mourn, you can't even talk. Your child is there, so you have to,
Yeah, you are dog, you're beating drum.
It's not the best. And don't put the children through that. They know what is going on, but they can't ask you guys.
Exactly.
It's not the best.
Exactly. So what are the contributing factors that we can associate with sexual abuse?
Mostly people who have been sexually abused before, it's easy for them to also abuse someone. Yeah, so if somebody has been raped before, in their adult life, if they don't get the therapy, if they don't get the care that is needed, it's easy for them to do that to somebody else.
Okay.
Because it's in their mind. And the culture that we have, you have people going half naked. You have fathers parading naked, half naked, almost naked in the house. Mothers naked, bathing their sons and their children and all that. You see, all these contributing factors is leading to the sexual abuse. So abusive behaviors are being done, but we overlook them, think it's okay. But when the acts is done, then we trumpet it, we make it loud. But there's always a flag that is pointing to what is going to happen. So if the child is coming home telling you that an older person is calling me, the wife is spanking my bag, and hey, you are going to look at your buttocks and be doing the bopping the buttocks and the breast, it's a sexual abusive behavior, and that can lead to sexual abusive acts. So a lot of things are factors. And you see, sometimes too, we are in a society that most women, it's like some are at the mercies of the men. So if they want a job, they need to sacrifice something before they get a job. Even in the church, it happens. And when you voice it out, it becomes as if, are you the only one? So most people that have been sexually abused or molested, they don't talk about it. They are quiet. They are afraid of the shame and the stigma that comes with it. So they are quiet. And when you talk about the women being abused, men also they are also being abused.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if a man and go and tell a fellow man that this lady slept with me and all that, they were like, whoa, you should be happy.
Yeah, you celebrate you. You are the
Yes,
man.
you are the man.
They're running after you.
You
Must be hot cake.
But that is wrong. It's without the person's consent, and you force the person to do that. And the young male children who have been given things by older women so that they satisfy them and all that, it's all forms of abuse. So we should have a culture that we don't stigmatize people who go through that experience and come out to say it. We should rather see them as being brave, as being heroes. We should celebrate them rather than shun them and put them aside as if, are you the only one? Shush about it, and protecting the big people in the society who perpetuate such acts.
So we look at, if you have not dealt with the abuse that you had, it can be physical, emotional abuse. There's a tendency for it to lead to you abusing people, especially sexual abuse. And if we are quiet also about the behavior, we only trumpet the act, we are also condoning that behavior. Wow. So then, does it have an effect for a sexual abuse victim? Does it affect them psychologically?
Very. It does. You see, it's like somebody invading your privacy. Your body is your temple. Your body is who you are. So somebody's like you having a house and robbers coming in to take whatever they want and going away. So this is you. And without your permission, somebody forcing themselves into you to have carnal knowledge of you. It's not all that right. So sometimes you blame yourself. Is this something I did? Was it something I said? Why is it that among my siblings it's only me that was this thing happened to? So you tend to ask yourself a lot of questions which have no answer. Mostly you not get the right answers. You might never even get the answer. So sometimes you think you are not enough. You kind of shield yourself from society. You are not that out again because you don't know what happened. And it can lead to a lot of mental health diseases. Some are like the acute stress disorder. Mostly that is within the first month. So if you experience any traumatic experience, you realize that you get stressed, you don't want to think about certain things, you don't want to associate, your eating patterns change. But if you are okay, if your mind and people help you to be okay, then the acute goes away. But if you don't, then you have the post-traumatic stress disorder. So it lives with you forever. If you don't go for therapy, if you don't get somebody to talk to, that condition is going to be with you. And one is, whenever that scene comes to mind, you have flashbacks, you kind of call back. So you realize that some people, that areas, they say they will never work there because of experience they have had. They get married, and whenever the husband wants to have intercourse with them, they want the lights out. They just can't share their body. They just don't like sex because of what happened to them. It can also happen that you will want more of sex. So it's either you don't want sex because of more of it. So it's like you want to punish people. It's kind of revenge. You understand? So the person wanting a lot, so you see people, maybe prostitutes, people having a lot of relationship camp. Sometimes it's not what they want. They don't want it. But some conditions that they have gone through, some life experiences, is making them want it. So it's like they can't even hold a relationship. They think men are not good. So they are out there to punish anybody who comes their way.
So emotionally makes you unstable.
Unstable.
Your self-esteem is low.
Yeah.
And you don't value yourself as somebody who deserves something good.
Yes, deserves love and
deserves love, respect, because somebody has come and violated your space and forced themselves on you.
Yeah.
What about children? If it is done to children, how does it affect them as they grow older?
You see, and one other thing is the disease factor.
Yeah.
So if the person who had that with you is having any STIs, any other disease, they are going to pass it through the sexual act. So you end up having disease that you are battling with, sexually transmitted disease that you'll be battling with, which is not so good. And also, you see, if a child goes through that experience, it affects even the academics, because they are thinking, why is it that this happened to me? And mostly they can't even open up, because most of the time there's people who abuse. The abusers are people who are close to us than outside. So if a parent know that the father, the uncle, the brother, the cousin, the grandfather, the pastor, the elder, all of the men can abuse that child.
Imagine
Anybody
that.
can.
Imagine that.
So you don't trust your child just fully. Even if it's the father and is saying, the girl comes to tell that my father, when he's bathing me, he said the hand very deep and he's paying me. You should be careful. You should investigate and start doing something about it. Because fathers, we are hearing cases that they are doing that.
Yes.
So you should be careful. And you see, if it's a father or it's a brother, it's a cousin, it's an uncle who does that, the child will be afraid to come out to say it.
Yes.
And mostly they tell them, if you ever tell him, I'm going to kill you.
Imagine.
So they are afraid. They are even living in fear. I'll kill you, I'll kill your mother. So they are protecting their family. They want to protect their lives. So they're not telling anybody. So such a person is living in fear. They will grow up and later realize that this is what happened and the person can't do anything to me. They are so bitter.
And sometimes if they dare talk, maybe one of the parents will just say, oh, you have always been a trouble child.
Yeah.
You know, you're making up stories. And we have this caregivers, this maids that we leave at home.
Yeah.
I was just listening to somebody sharing their experience that they have their first sexual experience with a maid.
Yeah.
So it is very important, like you said, that the regular checks, we need to ask them questions and educate and teach them.
Yeah.
So when things like this happen, they will run to us and come to us. You talked about the infection. That's another big thing. So now you have been violated. Emotionally, your well-being is unstable. Now you have a sexually transmitted infection to deal with on top of that, and you cannot talk to anybody. It must be so heavy on them. It must be so heavy on them. So how then do we help people like this? How do we get them to talk if it's in a family? What are the signs we should look out for? And how do we help them if they do talk?
You see, children who have been abused, mostly, the signs are always around. Mostly the person that is abusing them, they don't want to get close to the person. So if it's an uncle, maybe first they like the uncle, but now they don't want to get close to the uncle again. Maybe it's a neighbor. Whenever I want to leave them in the neighbor's house, they tell you, no, for that place I don't want to go. You must be cautious. You must probe further. Why is it that they don't want to go there? mostly, sometimes they will not have the art with them, but the behaviors that they are putting up, the child doesn't like it. And children know that, you see, sexual art, we are created in a way that you can feel that this is what the person is doing, but you don't actually know when they are children, but they know that that art is wrong. It's not yet time. So if they start distancing themselves from certain family members, you should be concerned and probe further. If your child performance in school is dropping, you realize that they are not paying attention. They are quite absent-minded. They get angry at will, things that doesn't, they get angry. Their dressing changes, their eating patterns changes. You see a spotting in their panties. And as we are talking about this, we are not focusing just on the girl child, because now we have a lot of homosexuals roaming around and they are using the boys too. So check your boy's anus.
Yes.
If somebody is using gel, Vaseline gel and all that around your boy, and he's giving them something to apply, you should check. I'm much more concerned about the boys, because most people that you think they are okay, they are normal. They are just wolves hiding with sheep clothing. Exactly. We have them in our pastors and all that. They molest these young ones. And because of the art, they can't come out to say it. Because they themselves, they feel shy that they have been violated. So it's not just the girl child. The boys too.
As well, yes.
So don't be leaving your boy child with somebody you don't trust that much. And people do change. You can know people, somebody in a church who is very good giving but the other side of them you don't know.
Yeah.
So you should be extra careful around your children when they are telling you something, and sometimes what they draw.
Yeah.
So you see, if they draw something, they are making somebody scary, and you ask them who is this, and they mention somebody's name. Say, why should you draw this particular person so scary? Oh, I don't like him, and that. Probe further. Get to know what is going on, so that you can help your child, because a lot of people are being abused, children are being abused, and we just sweep it under the carpet. And when it happens that way, you said that with some people, they will say you were a trouble child and all that.
Yeah.
So they are not trouble children, but they rather need your attention more. Because with children, you can't have all your children the same. We have different temperaments. Children will have different temperaments. But other children, some children need more of your attention and your love more. So the child that you think they are problem child, they just want attention more of your love, more of your time. So give it to them, or else you are going to pay that dearly in the coming year when they are adults.
Thank you very much. So now we know there is abuse. It's not only adult children have been abused, and there are people in every area of our life, whether at home, on the street, in our religious settings. We should open our eyes, we should be smart, and there is a support that is available to children.
Yes.
And they can reach out to your facility. You provide support. Counsellor Perfect's counseling network. And they provide support for that. So viewers, abuse is real. Children have been abused in the church, outside of the church, even in our homes. We should ensure that we put structures in place, and when they speak to us, we should listen to them and try and probe further to investigate whether what they're saying is wrong or right. Let's build a relationship with our children. Let us be smart. Let us be responsible. This is Sex in the Temple. See you next time. My name is Monique. Thank you.